Hi there. So, throughout this session, let's jump in and describe what's the information architecture container hierarchy in SharePoint 2016. Cannot wait to explain all of those terms throughout our course. But throughout our session, we will focus mainly on, highlighted in yellow. First of all of that chart is basically a physical container of SharePoint farm. What's basically SharePoint farm? It's nothing, it's just like a physical container which contain inside it all the SharePoint servers. Maybe your SharePoint farm consists of single server, maybe consists of 3 server, 5 up till 7, up till 30, 40, I don't know, but it's according to your SharePoint farm architecture, which we will discuss more on later on. Basically, SharePoint farm, it will host your service, your features, your content deployment, everything. We will discuss it later on, but the first point that you need to focus about it is web application. When you design your information architecture, the first thing that you will have is to build your own web application, which it's represent two things. The first one, it's a place, a URL inside IIS, Microsoft Internet Information Service. It's basically a URL. This URL, the first part. The second part is a database. This database, each web application will have a database inside your Microsoft SQL. So here is that you will have two things for your web application. But when you design your information architecture, take care about you will have one web application or more, because the more web application you will have, the more URLs that you need to manage, the more budget, the more security, certificate, SSL, and etc. Let's move on about site collection. Briefly, we will discuss it later as well in module 5, but right now, site collection, it's the starting point which you will divide and build your information architecture. Let's have a quick example. Right now you have a company. This company consists of different departments. So each department will represent a different site collection. Because of what? Because site collection is act as a security boundary. Okay, so the first department will be, for example, IT, information technology. Second one, HR, human resources. Third one, finance. Fourth one, marketing, and etc. So each department will act as a site collection, have its own web part, features, content type, and site column, solution, content database, and etc. So these basically act as a security boundary. Security boundary inside it, you will have sites, and each site will have a sub-site, and etc. And what about site? Site, it's a basically, here is that site collection is act as a root level site, and maybe this site collection will have different sites inside it. For example, here is that I name it as information technology, IT. So the first site will be like a root. This will have everything shared between all the IT. But I will have 3 or 4 sites. The first site for a SharePoint team inside IT. Second one for Oracle. Third one for cybersecurity. Fourth one for system admin, and etc. Okay, network and etc. All the teams inside the IT site collection. And each site will have its own list and library. List and library, it's basically the most important thing. That list, it's like as well nothing. It's like a table inside an Excel that you will have different column. Every column will have column data type, and each one will represent some constraints. We will see it later. Beside, library is act as a place that you will upload documents and try to edit and give different permissions about check versions and delete, who can delete this document, who can view it, who can download, who can only read. So this is basically about library. We will discuss about it later on a lot. Don't worry right now. So that's basically when you're gonna design your information architecture, you need to design that one before go and touch your SharePoint and start working on it. You need to draw. I need to create two web application. Each web application will have those site collections, and every site collection will have, you know, those sites and etc. Okay, let's move on. What's basically a managed metadata service? As you know, if we come back, here is the farm. This farm of a SharePoint will host different SharePoint service. One of them, it's called it managed metadata service. That's basically act as, you know, build your organizational taxonomy. And once you build your organizational taxonomy, for example, you will have, you know, different term set, and each term set will have different terms. SharePoint 2016 support up till 1000 term set, and inside each term set it support up till 3000 terms inside, you know, term set. For example, term set like what? Like, you know, car, for example. And term is, you know, maybe, you know, like Ferrari, Mercedes, PM, you know, these like term is inside that term set. Term set is a group of different terms. Okay, this, you know, used for later on, you know, for building your information architecture, or maybe it will used as a column data type, or maybe used in a navigation inside your ACM. We will see different usage for it. Here is that one more part. Each managed metadata service will represent, each instance of it will represent a content hub. We will discuss about it later on in our, you know, lab. We will take it, you know, in a practical way, and we will see how we will configure managed metadata, how we will configure the content type hub. We will configure it together. So right now, thank you for watching, and see you.